You guys remember about a year and a half ago, I was doing a video about how the FX series processor, although old, was a much better bargain than the Intel i3-7350K overclocking dual core chip? Well, if you also recall in that video, I killed it because I was overclocking it and it died. So I'm gonna go ahead and revisit that today. I'm gonna figure out why it died and hopefully fix it, because in this series of this era now where we're trying to do a lot more budget-oriented stuff, FX is still very relevant to the budget builder, and I want a working FX rig. So we gotta figure this out.
The all-new Master Liquid 120 and 240L RGB coolers provide an easy and reliable way to keep your processor nice and cool. Their all-new dual-chamber pump and low-resistance radiator offer a higher transfer of heat for both Intel and AMD CPUs, while 6 preset lighting effects and RGB ensure that the 120 and 240L seamlessly match your color design choice. Make it yours by following the link in the description below.
So I'm gonna go ahead and recommend you guys go and watch that video before moving forward, and I'll have a card that pops out right here. But in a nutshell, while I was doing my overclocking and stuff and doing my benchmark runs, my Cinebench runs, comparing it to the i3, on a restart, it died. Like, it just died in between one reboot. And to kind of show you what's happening here, we'll show you right now. Make sure you get in tight on this, Nick. You might not even get to see it. It happens so quickly. When I push the power button, it just instantly trips. Watch. Or in this case, it's not even turning on. So this, what? Yeah, it's on. I know what I'm doing. Oh crap, just drop screws. Now the last time I tried using this, it was at least clicking on for like a split second. But yeah, we're plugged in, okay. Nothing. Completely dead. Now the reason why we're doing this is because I actually have a spare FX CPU and board now. I was pretty convinced I killed the CPU. The audience was pretty convinced it's a bad motherboard. So at least I can test this. This was my dad's old motherboard and CPU, so at least it's gonna get a little bit more use. We're actually keeping this in a display because obviously this is a sentimental piece to me. So most people, like I said, were telling me the motherboard was bad. So the first thing I'm gonna try is swapping in the CPU. I don't think that that's gonna fix it, but that's at least where we're gonna start. So I can at least make sure this power supply is working by using this jumper that comes with a lot of water cooling kits and stuff now. All this does, as you can see, is it jumpers together 2 pins. If you're using ketchup and mustard cables, it's the green wire and the black wire. All that's doing is jumpering those, which is fooling the motherboard into thinking you pushed the power switch, because that will at least then tell me if we have power. So when I turn on the power switch on the power supply, interesting. So whatever's wrong is tripping the power supply like immediately. I have a theory now. If I unplug the CPU power cable, which my hands do not fit in here very well. So all I did was unplug the EPS power. This is the 4-pin/8-pin or the dual 4-pin. This is what gives your CPU power specifically. The only 2 colors on here are yellow and black. That's because it's giving 12 volt and ground, and that's it. And nothing. Can't have been a bad power supply all this time. We are plugged in, right? Yes, we are plugged in. Interesting, says me. Just to make sure we've got good power here. I mean, what do I have to lose now, right? I would love for it to not be a bad motherboard or CPU, obviously. I would hate for it to have been sitting here idle all this time. Okay, so obviously we have power. If my power supply went bad, you bet I'm gonna contact EVGA and be like, hey, give me a new one, because I bought this guy. I bought it. With my own money. God, that's such a terrible place for the 8-pin. Can't get my hands in there. My big fat hands. Oh wait. I'm trying to plug PCIe into the CPU. That'll go well. It's keyed, it wouldn't have gone anyway. Get in your home. This is worse than trying to do it on a tank. Metal is sharp. You ready? Okay, we're gonna try and power it up now. Ah, did you hear it instantly click? Yeah. And it clicked back off? Now we know it's not power supply. But here's the thing, now if I unplug the EPS, so, we have now narrowed it down to either the CPU or the motherboard. I basically was banking on it being CPU. The audience, however, was like, no, those problems that you're exhibiting are more so in line with a bad motherboard. Wouldn't it be kind of cool if my dad's motherboard lived on in our test bench? Obviously, I don't want to blow it up, right? I mean, I already blew this one up. There's always that one standoff that like unscrews with the screw. You know, someday we'll clean up this wiring issue, huh? Like we'll actually come up with a decent power distribution system. Not today. So if we end up getting the same result, we'll watch this fan will tell us what's happening. If this fan starts to turn and then stops instantly, we'll know it. There you go. So you can actually hear the power breaker or the safety system inside the power supply keeping us from killing our stuff. Now we're gonna go ahead and remove the cooler, and we are going to put in a new CPU in this motherboard. I don't know, we can take bets now, Nick. Do you think it's the CPU or do you think it's the motherboard?
Motherboard.
I'm kind of leaning that way too. So if anything died on this motherboard, it's potentially VRM. Maybe what we'll do, if it does turn out to be a bad motherboard, we'll take off the heatsink. We'll inspect it and we might see a fried component. But I don't see any chokes or capacitors that are swollen or leaking. That's when we get to see if we won or lost in terms of our bet, because we bet the same. Power's on. Same thing. Okay, so it looks like the internet was probably right. How about that? I hate when the internet's right. Yeah. Hey, I'm on the internet. Does that make me right? Oh. All right, so let's just swap everything over to this board. ASRock killer board. Fatality. So this was my dad's CPU. So we're gonna go back with this one. This was the original CPU we did our overclock testing with. It'll be nice to have the FX system up and running again though, because I want to do all kinds of testing, like bottleneck testing and content that like applies to more people. Turn right back off. Did we kill both? Let's try this again. Man, that would be, if I killed CPU and motherboard like all in one. But it's staying on for a little bit longer, isn't it? Well, that thing's being stubborn. You know what though? It makes sense that if we killed a VRM, we could have potentially also killed the CPU. So I'm just gonna swap my dad's back in there. So now we've got my dad's CPU and my dad's motherboard. So it should work. If it doesn't, wow. So we killed not only the motherboard, but the CPU too. I can't remember the last time I killed two components in one. So we were both right, internet. I did kill the CPU. The motherboard was what killed it. So you guys were technically right first. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna kind of cut this video real quick, and then we are gonna come back with the rig reassembled and however I decided to assemble it. So we'll see you guys in a minute. All right, so this is the Fractal Design Meshify C. This is the rig I put together for the FX build. This is a 1060 just chilling in there temporarily. And as you can see, we're in the BIOS. Unfortunately, what you guys didn't see was I couldn't get it to boot with my dad's CPU in there, which I know for a fact worked prior to doing this video because we used it many times. So I think by putting this CPU in the other motherboard, killed it. It has now gone to the CPU heaven in the sky. So yeah, I'm bummed about that. His motherboard still works, so at least I have that. What's in here right now, in case you're wondering, is an FX 6100, which I had laying around and haven't used in years, just to verify that it was a dead CPU. And so yeah, in the process of all of this, I've killed one motherboard and two CPUs. It powered on, it's just the CPU gave us no video. So now I've got to get a new CPU for this. We were running an 8320, now I got to get an 8350. Maybe we'll get like an 8370 or something like that. But we got one more thing to do before we get out of here. I'm gonna shut this down because these fans are running full speed. We've got to take the heatsink off of the other motherboard to see if we can see a damaged component. At least get something educational out of this. I guess in hindsight, the way I should have tested was by putting the bad CPU in the good motherboard. But how else would we have known if this was a bad motherboard? Well, I guess if it worked in the other motherboard, right? Anyway, there's that. Let's take these off. See. On the surface, it does not look like anything popped in terms of the VRM or the delivery. I mean, we've got a little bit of thermal paste or thermal tape compound, thermal pad that stuck to it. I don't see any bad components in here at all. Everything looks fine. That's the crazy part. So yeah, now I gotta get a new CPU, but at least we'll have a working FX rig once again. So guys, give this video a like if you feel any pity towards me right now, or give it a like if you don't, or whatever. You know, I don't really care, to be honest. I'm mad. I'm mad at this thing. Anyway, I'm gonna go guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.